News of humanity's true identity spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. On trading stations, mining colonies, and peaceful worlds, the same message was being broadcast on every communication channel. Emergency alert. The legendary Death World species has been found. Prepare for possible contact. Admiral Dokmar stood in the command center of the largest military base in galactic history. Around him, officers from dozens of species worked frantically to coordinate the greatest defensive fleet ever assembled. Red warning lights flashed as more ships arrived from every corner of known space. "Admiral," called out his aide, a tall, blue-skinned being named Veltar. "The Andromedan Defense Force has arrived with 200 ships. The Centauri Republic is sending their entire battle fleet. Even the peaceful healers of Altair are requesting weapons for their medical ships." Admiral Dokmar looked at the massive display showing ship positions throughout the galaxy. Thousands of vessels were moving toward defensive positions. "How many civilizations have responded to the emergency call?" "All of them, sir. Every single member of the Council and most non-member species. We estimate over 10,000 ships will be available within the week." It was the largest military mobilization in galactic history, not for conquest or territory, but out of pure fear. On the trade world of New Centaurus, Merchant Lee watched in amazement as entire species began evacuating their border worlds. The spaceports were crowded with families carrying whatever possessions they could manage. "Where will you go?" Lee asked a reptilian trader who was loading his ship with his family's belongings. "As far from the outer spiral arm as possible," the trader replied, his voice shaking. "My grandfather told me stories about the Death World. I thought they were just myths to frighten children. Now I know they were warnings." The economic impact was immediate and catastrophic. Stock markets across the galaxy crashed as panic selling began. Trade routes that had operated for thousands of years were abandoned overnight. Entire star systems were being evacuated. Lee's own trading company had lost half its value in a single day. But that wasn't what worried him most. What worried him was seeing the fear in the eyes of species that had never known defeat. In the military command center, Admiral Dokmar was receiving reports that made him more nervous with each passing hour. "Sir," reported Commander Tal of the Kregan Empire, "our War Council has made a decision. We recommend immediate preemptive action against the human homeworld." The Kregan Empire had never lost a war. They were the most feared military force in the galaxy. If they were advocating for attack, the situation was truly desperate. "What does your analysis suggest?" Admiral Dokmar asked. Commander Tal activated a holographic display showing the Sol system. "We have run thousands of combat simulations. Every scenario that involves allowing the humans to develop further technology ends in galactic domination by their species. What about scenarios where we attack now?" "Mixed results," Tal admitted. "In 60% of simulations, we successfully eliminate the threat. In 30%, we fail and they become hostile. In the remaining 10%, he paused uncomfortably. "In the remaining 10%, what?" "In the remaining 10%, our attack makes them stronger. They learn from our weapons and tactics, adapt quickly, and become even more dangerous than before." This was the nightmare scenario that kept military leaders awake at night. Humanity's greatest strength was their ability to learn from challenges and become stronger. An attack might just give them the opportunity to develop better defenses and more advanced weapons. Meanwhile, on Earth, the situation was developing rapidly. President Kim had called an emergency meeting of the world's leaders. "The objects at the edge of our solar system are definitely alien spacecraft," announced Director J to the assembled presidents and prime ministers. "We estimate at least 50 large vessels, possibly more, arriving. Are they hostile?" asked the European Federation representative. "Unknown," Director J replied. "They're maintaining distance and haven't attempted communication, but their formation suggests they're prepared for either diplomatic contact or military action." General Park, head of Earth's Unified Defense Forces, presented the military situation. "We've activated all our defensive systems. The asteroid belt mining stations have been converted to weapons platforms. Our lunar bases are fully armed. If they want to fight, we'll give them one." What General Park didn't mention was that Earth's defenses had been designed specifically for alien contact scenarios. Humanity had spent decades preparing for the possibility that their first contact with aliens might not be friendly. Dr. Yu, still on the Mars research station, had been monitoring the alien ships continuously. Her latest report was disturbing. The energy signatures are incredible, she told the emergency council via video link. These ships are using technology far beyond our current capabilities. But what's strange is their behavior. They're acting like they're afraid of us. Afraid of us? President Kim asked. They have superior technology in overwhelming numbers. Why would they be afraid? I don't know, Dr. Yu replied. But their formation is clearly defensive. They're positioned like they expect us to attack them. Back in the Galactic Command Center, Admiral Dokmar was dealing with an unprecedented crisis. Representatives from peaceful species that had never fought a war were demanding weapons. Trade federations were requesting military escorts for their evacuation ships. Even the ancient wisdom keepers who had spent millennia promoting galactic peace were asking for protection. Admiral, reported his communications officer, we're receiving requests for military assistance from over 300 star systems. They're all evacuating populations from worlds near the outer spiral arm. How far are they moving people? Some are going all the way to the far side of the galaxy. The Peaceful Collective is relocating their entire civilization to the Magellanic Clouds. The fear was spreading faster than any plague. Species that had lived in harmony for thousands of years were suddenly preparing for the end of galactic civilization. On the council station, Captain Hyun and Nari were still waiting for an explanation of what had happened in the council chamber. They had been confined to their ship but not imprisoned. Guards watched them but had not threatened them. Captain, Nari said, looking out at the strange activity around the station. I've been monitoring communications. Something about our coordinates has terrified them. Hyun was studying the data they had collected about galactic civilization. Look at this, Nari. Every species in the council is from worlds with lower gravity than Earth. Most have weaker atmospheric pressure. Their weather patterns are much milder than ours. You think they're afraid because we come from a dangerous world? Maybe. But that doesn't explain why they looked at us like we were monsters. What Hyun and Nari didn't know was that their species had become the subject of the most important military and political discussions in galactic history. In the Kriegan War Room, Warlord Bextel was arguing for immediate action. Every day we wait, they grow stronger. Our intelligence reports show they are activating defensive systems throughout their solar system. That proves they are aggressive, agreed General Morthek. Peaceful species don't have solar system-wide defense networks. But Admiral Dokmar was reading reports that complicated the situation. Our long-range sensors show that their defensive systems are purely protective. We see no offensive capabilities beyond their home system. Yet, Warlord Bexthal replied grimly. They haven't developed interstellar weapons yet. But if the ancient records are accurate, they will adapt quickly once they know we exist. The debate was interrupted by an urgent message from the fleet at Earth's edge. Captain One was reporting new developments. Admiral, the humans have launched several small spacecraft from their homeworld. They appear to be heading in our direction. The command center fell silent. The moment everyone had feared was approaching. Humanity was coming to meet them. Are the ships armed? Admiral Dokmar asked. Unknown, sir. They're too small to carry significant weapons, but, sir, these ships are moving faster than they should be able to according to our understanding of their technology. Dr. Yu had been right. Humanity was full of surprises. What are your orders, Admiral? Commander Tal asked. Admiral Dokmar looked around the command center at representatives from hundreds of species, all waiting for him to make the decision that would determine the future of galactic civilization. Maintain defensive positions, he said finally. Do not fire unless fired upon, and prepare for the most important first contact in galactic history. Across the galaxy, 10,000 ships held their positions and waited. Entire civilizations held their breath. And somewhere in the space between Earth and the alien fleet, a small human spacecraft carried representatives of the species that had terrified the galaxy for 10,000 years toward their first real meeting with their galactic neighbors. Captain Hyun walked through the massive doors of the Galactic Council chambers. His black uniform was clean and pressed. The small Earth flag on his shoulder seemed tiny compared to the hundreds of alien symbols filling the Great Hall. Behind him, his aide Nari carried a silver case containing Earth's petition for membership. The chamber was huge. Thousands of seats rose up in circles around a central platform. Strange beings from across the galaxy sat watching. Some looked like walking crystals. Others had tentacles instead of arms. A few glowed with their own light. Hyun had studied pictures of these species for months, but seeing them in person still amazed him. Earth delegation, please approach the central platform, announced a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Hyun and Nari walked down the long path to the center. Their footsteps echoed in the quiet hall. Every eye, tentacle, and sensor was watching them. Hyun felt nervous but tried not to show it. This was the most important moment in human history. At the platform, a tall being made of blue crystal stood waiting. This was Council Leader Vextar. His voice sounded like music when he spoke. Welcome, representatives of Earth. I am Vextar, current leader of the Galactic Council. You may present your petition. Hyun stepped forward and opened the silver case. Inside was a data pad containing everything about Earth and humanity. Their history, their science, their culture, and their wish to join the galactic community. Honored Council Leader, I am Captain Hyun of the human diplomatic vessel Harmony. I come before you today to request membership in the Galactic Council for the planet Earth and all humanity. Vextar's crystal body sparkled as he took the data pad. Your request is noted. Please tell us about your world and your people. Hyun had practiced this speech 1,000 times. Earth is a peaceful world in the outer spiral arm of the galaxy. We have 7 billion people living in harmony. Our technology may be simple compared to yours, but we are eager to learn. We have explored our own solar system and now wish to meet our neighbors among the stars. We have much to offer, Nari added, stepping forward. Our scientists have made discoveries in medicine and engineering. Our artists create beautiful music and stories. We believe that diversity makes the galaxy stronger. The council members listened politely. Some took notes on strange devices. Others seemed bored. Hyun had expected this. Earth was just another small world asking to join. It happened all the time. Vextar nodded slowly. Your words are well spoken. Now we must begin the standard planetary designation process. Please provide your world's galactic coordinates and stellar classification. This was the easy part. Hyun had memorized the numbers. Earth orbits a yellow star in Sector 7G of the outer spiral arm. Galactic coordinates are X247, Y891, Z12. Our star is classified as a G-type main sequence star, locally known as Sol. Hyun finished speaking and waited, but something strange happened. The Great Hall became completely silent. Not the polite quiet of before, but a deep, frightening silence. Vextar's crystal body had stopped sparkling. His hand holding the datapad was shaking. Around the hall, alien beings were staring at Hyun with what looked like fear. In the highest row of seats, an ancient being covered in gray robes suddenly stood up. This was Morden, the council archivist. His 6 eyes were wide with terror. The data tablet in his hands fell to the floor with a loud crash. Those coordinates, Morden whispered, but his voice carried through the silent hall. Those are the coordinates of... He stopped speaking. His mouth opened and closed like he wanted to say something but could not find the words. Council Leader Vexitar looked around the hall. Many of the alien representatives were whispering to each other in frightened voices. Some were already standing up to leave. I need to consult the archives, Vextar said. His musical voice now sounded shaky. This session is adjourned. We will contact you when we are ready to continue. Wait, Hyun called out. Is something wrong? Did we say something to offend you? But Vextar was already walking away. Around the hall, hundreds of alien beings were leaving their seats and heading for the exits. Many of them kept looking back at Hyun and Nari with fear in their eyes. Nari grabbed Hyun's arm. Captain, what just happened? They looked terrified. Hyun shook his head. I don't know. We just gave them our coordinates. Every world has coordinates. There's nothing special about ours. They stood alone on the platform as the great hall emptied around them. The silver case with Earth's petition lay forgotten on the floor. Back in the highest seats, Archivist Morden was talking quickly with 2 younger assistants. One of them, a being named Kale, was typing frantically on a data pad. Are you sure about those coordinates? Kyle asked. Maybe we heard wrong. Morden shook his head. I have been keeper of the archives for 300 years. I know those numbers. They match exactly. Match what? Asked the other assistant. The forbidden records. The ones that have not been opened for 10,000 years. The ones that speak of the world that must never be contacted. Down on the platform, Hyun and Nari waited for someone to explain what was happening. But no one came. Security guards had appeared around the edges of the hall. They were not pointing weapons, but they were watching carefully. Captain, Nari whispered. I think we should go back to our ship. Hyun nodded. He picked up the silver case and they walked toward the exit. The guards did not stop them, but Hyun could feel their eyes following every step. As they left the chamber, Hyun heard Morden speaking to his assistants in a voice full of fear. Seal the archives. Contact the military, and send a message to all council worlds. Tell them to prepare for the worst possible news. Outside the chamber, Hyun and Nari walked through the station corridors toward their ship. Other beings in the hallways looked at them strangely. Some quickly moved away when they approached. Captain, Nari said quietly, I think our coordinates mean something to them. Something bad. Hyun was thinking the same thing. But what could be bad about Earth's location? It was just empty space with one small yellow star and a few planets. Nothing special. Nothing dangerous. He was wrong. Earth's coordinates matched something in the galactic archives that had been locked away for thousands of years. Something so terrible that entire civilizations had tried to forget it existed, but now humanity had come to them, asking to join their community, and the galaxy was about to remember its oldest and greatest fear. Supreme Chancellor Zolthek called the emergency session to order with 3 loud strikes of his ceremonial staff. The great chamber was more crowded than it had ever been. Representatives from every major civilization in the galaxy had come. Some had traveled for days to be here. The mood in the hall was dark and fearful. Whispered conversations filled the air. Everyone knew something terrible had been discovered, but few knew exactly what. Fellow members of the Galactic Council, Zolthek began, his deep voice carrying clearly through the chamber. We have called this emergency session to address a discovery that threatens the very foundation of our peaceful galaxy. In the diplomatic gallery, Ambassador Ray sat with the other species advocates. She had been one of the strongest supporters of human membership in the council. Now she felt a cold dread growing in her stomach. 3 days ago, Zoltek continued, representatives from the planet Earth requested membership in our council. During the standard registration process, we discovered that their world's coordinates match records in our most ancient and forbidden archives. A murmur of fear rippled through the chamber. Many representatives were already reaching the same horrifying conclusion. Archivist Morden approached the central platform, carrying data crystals that glowed with ancient knowledge. His 6 eyes looked tired and frightened. Honored Council, Morden said, I must tell you about records that have been sealed for 10,000 years. Records of a world so dangerous that our ancestors erased it from public knowledge. The main display screens around the chamber lit up with images from the forbidden archives. Ancient star maps, warning beacons, and biological data filled the screens. The ancient civilizations called it Morgethul, which means where light dies. It was considered the most dangerous world in the galaxy. Not because of technology or weapons, but because of the species that lived there. Chief Analyst Pak had prepared a comprehensive report. He stood to address the council with data that made even experienced diplomats uncomfortable. The beings on Morgethul evolved under conditions that most of us would consider impossible to survive. Pak explained, gravity 3 times stronger than standard, an atmosphere toxic to most galactic species, weather patterns that we classify as continuous natural disasters. Images of Earth appeared on the screens. Hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, and ice storms. What humans considered normal weather looked like the end of the world to most galactic species. But the most frightening aspect, Pak continued, is their adaptability. Every challenge their environment presented, they overcame. Every competitor species they eliminated. Every obstacle they turned into an advantage. Ambassador Ray raised her hand to speak. Are you telling us that the humans who visited our council are the legendary Death World species that ancient civilizations fled from? That is exactly what we are telling you, Zolthek replied. Earth is Morgethul. The humans are the apex predators that our ancestors were too terrified to contact. The chamber erupted in frightened voices. Some representatives were already calling for their military forces. Others were demanding immediate evacuation of the border systems. Security Chief Han stood to present the military analysis that had been completed overnight. His report made the situation even more terrifying. We have analyzed human culture, technology, and social behavior, Han said. What we discovered should frighten every peaceful civilization in the galaxy. The screens showed images from human entertainment media. Movies, books, and games that depicted humans conquering alien worlds, defeating superior civilizations, and surviving impossible odds. What they call entertainment, we must recognize as cultural preparation, Han explained. Their fictional stories are filled with scenarios of interstellar war, alien invasion, and galactic conquest. They have spent decades imagining how to defeat every type of alien civilization they might encounter. More disturbing images appeared. Humans engaging in activities that most species would consider suicidal. Mountain climbing, deep-sea diving, extreme sports, and dangerous exploration. They seek out mortal danger for recreation, Han continued. They treat situations that would terrify most galactic species as fun challenges. This is not normal behavior for an intelligent species. Dr. Yu, a human scientist on the research station orbiting Mars, had no idea that her species was being discussed in the most important political meeting in galactic history. She was busy analyzing the strange gravitational signatures that Director J had reported from the edge of the solar system. These readings are definitely artificial, she told her team. Multiple large objects in precise formation. They're clearly watching us, but they haven't made any attempt at communication. What Dr. Yu didn't know was that 50 alien warships were maintaining a careful distance, reading 10,000 years of warnings about why they should not make contact. Back in the council chamber, the testimony continued. Dr. Ray appeared on screen from the scout ship Seeker, broadcasting live from the edge of Earth's solar system. Council members, Ray reported, we have confirmed that the warning beacons are still active after 10 millennia. The automated systems are still broadcasting danger signals in every known language. What do the most recent warnings say? Asked Chancellor Zoltek. The final entry is from 3,000 years ago, Ray replied. It warns that the Morgothel species has achieved spaceflight and is looking toward the stars. The message concludes, if they ever develop faster than light travel, they will spread across the galaxy and become the dominant species not through malice, but through simple existence. A deep silence fell over the chamber. The implications were clear and terrifying. Ambassador Ray spoke again, her voice shaking. You're saying that if we allow humans to join the galactic community, they will eventually take over everything? Not through conquest, Pa replied. Through adaptation. They will simply be better at surviving and thriving than any other species. Within a few generations, they will dominate every world they visit, every industry they enter, every challenge they face. But they seem peaceful, protested another delegate. They asked politely to join our community. They spoke of cooperation and friendship. That may be the most frightening aspect of all, Security Chief Han said grimly. They don't see themselves as predators. They believe they are peaceful. But their idea of peaceful coexistence might mean the gradual extinction of every other intelligent species in the galaxy. On Earth, President Kim was receiving urgent reports from Director J about the alien ships at the edge of their solar system. The government was quietly activating defense protocols that had been planned for decades. How many ships are out there? President Kim asked. At least 50 large vessels, Director J replied. They're not approaching, but they're definitely watching us. We need to decide whether to make contact or prepare for the worst. What President Kim didn't know was that the alien ships were more afraid of humanity than humanity could possibly be of them. In the council chamber, the debate was reaching its climax. Representative after representative stood to voice their fears. The Kregan Empire demands immediate military action, declared Warlord Bexthal. We should destroy them before they can spread beyond their home system. The Trade Federation agrees, added merchant leader Daxmar. The economic disruption alone would be catastrophic. No other species could compete with their adaptability. But other voices counseled caution. They have done nothing wrong, argued diplomat Solven. They came to us in peace. We cannot attack them based on ancient fears. Ancient fears that have proven to be completely accurate, Zoltek replied. Every civilization that ever encountered them came to the same conclusion. They are too dangerous to contact. As the debate raged, Captain Wan reported new information from the edge of the Sol system. Council members were detecting increased activity on the third planet. It appears they have noticed our presence and are activating defensive systems. The council chamber fell silent again. The implications were clear. Humanity had detected the alien fleet and was preparing to defend itself. The galaxy's worst nightmare was about to become reality. What are your recommendations? Zoltek asked his advisors. We have 3 options, Security Chief Han replied. We can attack them before they develop better technology. We can flee to distant galaxies and hope they never find us, or what? Zoltek asked. Or we can do what no civilization in galactic history has ever tried. We can attempt to coexist with the apex predators of the Death World, and hope they allow us to survive. The chamber was silent as the council faced the most important decision in galactic history. General Thekver stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars grow brighter as they approached the outer edge of the Sol system. Behind him, 50 of the council's best military ships followed in careful formation. This was supposed to be a simple investigation mission. It was turning into something much more frightening. "General," called out Captain Juan from the scout ship Seeker, "we're detecting massive artificial structures ahead. They appear to be very old." Thekvar looked at the main screen. In the distance, huge metal objects floated in space. They were larger than most space stations and shaped like ancient monuments. "Those are the warning beacons mentioned in the archives," said Dr. Min, the expedition's chief scientist. "They've been broadcasting for 10,000 years. The fleet slowed as they approached the first beacon. It was incredible to see something so old still working. The metal surface was covered in symbols from dead civilizations. Science Officer Ray on the Seeker was running detailed scans. "General, the energy output from these beacons is enormous. They're broadcasting on every frequency we know of, plus several we've never seen before. What are they saying?" Thekvar asked. Dr. Min was working with a team of translators. The beacon was sending messages in dozens of ancient languages. Some they could read. Others were from civilizations so old that only fragments of their writing remained. "The basic message is the same in every language," Dr. Min reported. "Warning. Do not approach. Apex predator world. Extinction class threat." Captain Juan brought his ship closer to examine the beacon's surface. These symbols, some of them are carved directly into the metal. Others appear to be added later. Like different civilizations kept updating the warnings over thousands of years. The messages were terrifying. Dr. Min read them aloud as his team translated. From the Vorth Empire. "This system contains the most dangerous species we have ever encountered. Approach means death. From the Celestial Dominion. We have watched this world for 1,000 years. The creatures there grow stronger with each challenge. Do not give them new challenges. From the hegemony of stars. Our greatest warriors could not survive one day on this world. The dominant species treats our nightmares as normal life." Thekvar felt cold fear growing in his chest. "How many civilizations added warnings to these beacons?" "At least 15 different empires and kingdoms spanning 8,000 years, Dr. Min replied. "General, every major civilization that has ever ruled parts of the galaxy found this system and decided it was too dangerous to contact. They moved deeper into the system, finding more beacons. Each one carried more warnings, more details about the terrors of the third planet." Captain Juan's voice came over the communication system. "General, I'm reading the biological scans that were taken by the ancient probes. You need to see this." The main screen showed images that had been captured by automated scouts thousands of years ago. They showed a blue and green world that looked beautiful from space. But the data underneath told a different story. "The gravity on this world is 3 times stronger than most inhabited planets," Ray reported. "The atmosphere contains gases that would be poisonous to 60% of known species. The weather includes storms that would be classified as natural disasters on most worlds." Dr. Min was studying the biological data. "The planet's history shows repeated extinction events, asteroid impacts, ice ages, massive volcanic eruptions. Each time, most life died, but the dominant species survived and became stronger. The images showed creatures that looked like the humans who had visited the council, but these were clearly taken during their primitive period, thousands of years ago. Look at this," Dr. Min said, pointing to one image. "This shows them during their Stone Age. They were already the apex predators of their world. They had eliminated most large competing species. More images showed the species developing tools, agriculture, and technology. But what frightened the alien observers was how quickly they adapted to new challenges. Every time their environment changed, they changed with it," Dr. Min explained. "Ice Age? They learned to control fire and make warm clothing. Droughts? They dug wells and developed irrigation. Food shortages? They domesticated other species and learned advanced farming." Captain Juan was studying the most recent beacon data. "General, some of these warnings are more recent than others. The last update appears to be from about 3,000 years ago." "What does it say?" Thekvar asked. "It's from a civilization called the Watchers. They were apparently monitoring this system right up until they disappeared from galactic history. Their final message says, The Morgethal species has achieved advanced technology in spaceflight. They have completely conquered their world and eliminated most other large life forms. They are now looking toward the stars. If they discover faster-than-light travel, they will spread across the galaxy. No known force will be able to stop them. We are abandoning our monitoring posts and fleeing to the far galaxies. May whoever finds this message learn from our fear. The alien fleet hung in space, surrounded by 10,000 years of warnings from the galaxy's greatest civilizations. Every empire that had ever existed had found this system and been so terrified that they had dedicated enormous resources to keeping it secret. Meanwhile, on Earth, Director J of the Space Defense Initiative was having a normal day at work. He was reviewing reports from the outer solar system monitoring stations when something caught his attention. "That's strange," he said to his assistant. "We're detecting unusual gravitational disturbances at the edge of the system. Looks like a large number of objects moving in formation." His assistant checked the data. Could be a comet cluster or asteroid group. But the movement pattern is very regular. Almost like ships in formation, Jay finished. But that's impossible. We're the only intelligent life in this system. What Director J didn't know was that 50 alien warships were sitting just outside Pluto's orbit, reading warnings that described his species as the most dangerous life form in galactic history. Back with the alien fleet, Dr. Min had made another disturbing discovery. "General, I found something else in the beacon data." Detailed scans of the species' biology. The screen showed anatomical information about humans, but the data was presented like a military threat assessment. "Look at this," Dr. Min said. "Their bone density is twice normal for their size. Their muscle efficiency is incredible. They can survive without food for weeks and without water for days. They heal from injuries that would permanently disable most species. But that's not the worst part," Ray added from the Seeker. "Look at their psychological profile. They treat mortal danger as entertainment. They seek out challenges that could kill them just for the excitement. They call it extreme sports. They also show pack-hunting behavior," Dr. Min continued. "They work together to overcome threats much larger than themselves. And they never stop learning. Every failure just teaches them to try a different approach." General Thekvar had heard enough. "Send a message back to the Council. Tell them we have confirmed the worst possible scenario. Earth is definitely Morgethal. The humans are definitely the apex predators described in the ancient warnings." "What are your orders, General?" Captain Wan asked. Thekvar looked at the beautiful blue world in the distance. According to their instruments, 7 billion of the galaxy's most dangerous predators lived on that peaceful-looking planet. And 2 of them were currently sitting in a council space station asking to join the galactic community. "We maintain our position and wait for orders from the council," he said. "Whatever we do not make contact with them until the council decides how to handle this situation." "Sir," Ray called out. "I'm detecting activity on the planet's surface. It looks like they've noticed our presence." On Earth, Director J was now certain that something unusual was happening. The objects at the edge of the system were definitely artificial and definitely watching them. "Should we send a message?" his assistant asked. "Not yet," Jay replied. "Let's see what they want first. If they're friendly, they'll make contact. If they're not..." He looked at the defense systems that humanity had built around their solar system. "Well, we'll be ready either way." In space, 50 alien ships waited nervously at the edge of humanity's solar system, reading 10,000 years of warnings about why they should never have come here. Deep beneath the council station, Archivist Morden walked through halls that few living beings had ever seen. The archive vault stretched for miles underground. Huge machines hummed quietly, storing the memory of 10,000 years of galactic history. Behind him, his assistant Kyle struggled to keep up. The young scholar had never been this deep in the archives before. Another assistant, Dr. Lin, followed close behind carrying scanning equipment. "Archivist," Kale said, breathing hard. "Are you sure we need to go this deep?" The human coordinates could mean nothing. Morden stopped walking and turned to face him. His 6 eyes were serious. "Young Kale, I have spent 300 years studying galactic history. I know every important coordinate in our records. Those numbers the human gave us, they match something that was never supposed to be found again." They reached a massive door made of black metal. Strange symbols covered its surface. Dr. Lin ran her scanner over the symbols and frowned. "These markings are in the Old Vorth language," she said. "I can only read some of it. Something about Danger and death? Morden placed his hand on a scanner beside the door. The door is asking for my highest clearance code. These archives have been sealed since before your species learned to speak, Dr. Lin. The door opened with a deep rumbling sound. Cold air rushed out carrying a strange smell. The three scholars stepped inside and lights came on automatically. The room was enormous. Shelves reached up into darkness filled with data crystals, metal tablets, and devices they did not recognize. Everything was covered in dust. What is this place? Kale whispered. The Forbidden Archives, Morden replied. Records that the ancient civilizations decided were too dangerous to keep in normal storage. Most council members do not even know this place exists. They walked deeper into the room. Dr. Lin's scanner was beeping rapidly. I'm detecting energy, signatures from dozens of different extinct civilizations, she said with excitement. Some of these records are older than our current calendar system. Morden led them to a section marked with the same symbols that were on the door. He pulled out a crystal data storage device that glowed with internal light. This crystal contains records from the Vorth Empire. They ruled half the galaxy 12,000 years ago. They were the most powerful civilization we know of. He inserted the crystal into a reading device. Ancient text appeared on a screen, along with star maps and images. Can you translate it? Kale asked. Dr. Lin was already working with her equipment. The translation program is having trouble. This is very old Vorth dialect. But I'm getting some words here. Quarantine zone. And this word appears many times. I think it means death world. Morden's hands were shaking as he operated the controls. More text appeared on the screen. Look at these coordinates. X247 Y891 Z12. Exactly what the human captain told us. They stared at the screen in silence. Dr. Lin continued translating. The Vorth called it Morgethol. That translates roughly as where light dies or place of ending. According to this, they found a world in the outer spiral arm that was different. Different how? Kale asked. Dr. Lin read more text. The life forms on this world were unlike anything they had ever seen. Extremely adaptive. Incredibly dangerous. The Vorth sent several expeditions to study the planet. None returned. Morden found another data crystal, this one from a different civilization. This is from the Celestial Dominion. They existed at the same time as the Vorth, but in a different part of the galaxy. The new crystal showed similar information. The Celestial Dominion had also discovered the world and been terrified by what they found. Both civilizations came to the same conclusion, Dr. Lin said, reading from multiple sources. The dominant species on Morgethol was the most dangerous life form they had ever encountered. Not because they were evil, but because they were perfectly adapted to survive anything. She pulled up an image that made all three of them step backward. It showed a creature that looked almost human, but stronger and more muscular. The ancient records described them as apex predators. They had conquered their entire world by eliminating most other life forms. They lived in conditions that would kill most galactic species. High gravity, toxic atmosphere, extreme weather. But this looks like the humans who came to the council today, Kale said. That's because it is them. Morden replied quietly. The coordinates match exactly. The species description matches. Morden realized with growing horror that Earth and Morgethol were the same world. Dr. Lin found more records. Look at this. Both the Vorth Empire and the Celestial Dominion made the same decision. They placed warning beacons around the entire star system. They forbade any contact with the world. They erased its location from public records. But why didn't they just destroy it? Kale asked. Because they were too afraid to get close enough, Morden answered. According to these records, the planet's dominant species had already achieved basic spaceflight when the quarantine was established. The ancient civilizations feared that attacking them would only make them stronger. They continued reading. The records painted a picture of a world so dangerous that two of the galaxy's greatest empires had hidden it from history rather than risk contact. Meanwhile, far above in the station corridors, strange things were happening. Captain Hune and Nari were walking back to their ship when they noticed something odd. Captain, Nari said, pointing to a viewing window. Look outside. Through the window they could see dozens of council ships moving into new positions around the station. Large military vessels were arriving from different directions. On their ship, Engineer Bo was monitoring the station's communications. He turned to Pilot Sue with a worried expression. I'm picking up coded military transmissions, Bo said. High priority, maximum encryption. and there are energy signatures from at least 50 warships taking positions around us. Sue checked the navigation systems. They're not targeting us directly, but we're definitely surrounded. Whatever we said in that council meeting really upset somebody. Back in the archives, Dr. Lin made a discovery that froze her blood. Mordun, look at this. The final entry in the Vorth records. The ancient text glowed on the screen. Dr. Lin's voice shook as she translated. The Watchers report that the Morgethal species continues to develop. They show signs of advanced technology and space exploration. If they ever leave their world and spread across the galaxy, they will become the dominant species not through conquest, but through simple existence. No civilization will be able to compete with their adaptability. We have hidden their location, and pray that future generations never find them. May the stars protect us if they ever discover they are not alone. The three scholars stood in horrified silence. The ancient civilizations hadn't just quarantined Earth. They had hidden it from the galaxy because they knew that if humans ever made contact with other species, they would inevitably become the dominant life form. We need to tell the Council immediately, Kale said. Tell them what? Morden asked. That the species asking to join our peaceful community are the legendary Death World predators that our ancestors were too terrified to contact? That we have been living in fear of a myth that just walked into our council chambers asking to be friends? Dr. Lin was still reading. There's more. The records indicate that both civilizations fell within 1,000 years of establishing the quarantine. Some scholars theorize that just knowing about Morgethal had made them weak. They spent so much time and energy maintaining the secret that their empires collapsed. Above them, the station was buzzing with activity. Emergency sessions were being called. Military leaders were arriving from across the galaxy. And in the center of it all, two humans sat in their ship wondering what they had done wrong. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity was not just another species asking to join their community. They were the monsters from the oldest nightmares, and they had come in peace. Fleet Admiral Morthek commanded the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. 50,000 ships from every major civilization hung in space at the edge of Earth's solar system. The combined firepower could destroy entire star systems. Yet as they approached the small blue world, something impossible began to happen. Admiral called out his chief engineer Nal from the flagship's engine room. We're experiencing system failures across the fleet. The closer we get to their world, the more our technology malfunctions. Morthek frowned as warning lights began flashing on his command console. What kind of failures? Everything, sir. Navigation systems are giving incorrect readings. Weapons targeting is offline. Even our basic life support systems are struggling. It's like their planet is somehow interfering with our technology. This was not what anyone had expected. The galactic fleet had prepared for advanced human weapons, powerful defenses, maybe even some kind of energy shield around Earth. They had not prepared for their own ships to stop working properly. Sir, reported the communications officer, we're receiving similar reports from ships throughout the fleet. The Andromedan vessels have lost 40% of their systems. The Centauri Republic ships are reporting complete failure of their primary weapons. Admiral Morthek activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships maintain current positions. Do not advance closer to the third planet until we understand what's happening. What the aliens didn't realize was that they weren't dealing with advanced human technology. They were dealing with something much simpler and more terrifying. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades. On Earth, General Park stood in the command center of the Global Defense Network, watching displays that showed every alien ship in their solar system. General, reported Colonel Jin, all defensive systems are operating at full efficiency. The asteroid belt weapons platforms are online. The lunar defense bases are ready. And the solar collection arrays are feeding power to every system in our network. General Park smiled grimly. The aliens probably think we're using some kind of advanced technology to interfere with their ships. They don't realize we've simply been planning for this scenario since we first started dreaming about space travel. What humanity had done was both simple and brilliant. They had not built weapons to fight aliens. They had built their entire solar system as a weapon. Lieutenant Commander Cho explained the system to the gathered Earth leaders.
Every asteroid mining operation includes kinetic launchers.
Every gas giant has collection stations that can be used as weapons platforms. Every satellite in Earth orbit has dual-use capabilities. But the key, added Dr. Yu via video link from Mars, is that we didn't build alien fighting technology. We built human technology that works perfectly in our environment. Their advanced systems can't adapt to our crude but effective approach. The alien fleet was discovering this firsthand. Their sophisticated targeting computers couldn't lock onto human weapons that didn't emit the energy signatures they expected. Their defensive systems were designed to stop energy weapons and guided missiles, not simple kinetic projectiles launched from asteroid mining equipment. Admiral, Chief Engineer Null reported with growing alarm, we're detecting massive energy buildup throughout their solar system. Every large object appears to be weaponized in some way. How is that possible? Admiral Morthek asked. Intelligence reports said they only achieved spaceflight recently. That's the problem, sir. They didn't build a space defense network. They built a space civilization that can be converted to defense purposes. Every mining station, every research base, every commercial facility has been designed with dual military applications. The humans had done something no other species had ever imagined. Instead of building military bases in space, they had built civilian infrastructure that could instantly become military when needed. But the real shock came when Captain Jin of Earth's flagship Defiance made contact with the alien fleet, unknown. Vessels, came a calm human voice over the communication channels. This is Captain Jin of the Earth Defense Force vessel Defiance. We have detected your presence in our solar system. Please state your intentions. The alien fleet went silent. After 10,000 years of warnings about the Death World species, after mobilizing the largest military force in galactic history, after fleeing in terror from the legendary Morgethel, the humans were politely asking what they wanted. Admiral Morthek found himself in the strangest situation of his military career. He was commanding 50,000 warships, facing the most dangerous species in galactic history, and they had just asked him to please explain why he was visiting. This is Fleet Admiral Morthek of the Galactic Council Defense Force, he replied carefully. We came to investigate reports of your species. Reports? Captain Jin sounded genuinely curious. What kind of reports? We only recently made contact with your council representatives. Is there some kind of problem? The innocence in the human's voice sent chills through the alien fleet. They truly didn't understand why 50,000 ships had come to their system. Captain Jin, Admiral Morthek said slowly, are you aware that your world's coordinates match records of a planet that ancient civilizations quarantined as too dangerous to contact? There was a pause before Captain Jin responded. No, we were not aware of that. Could you explain what you mean by too dangerous? Admiral Morthek looked around his command bridge at officers from dozens of species, all staring at him expectantly. How do you explain to someone that their entire species is considered a galactic nightmare? Your species, he said carefully, appears to have evolved under conditions that most galactic civilizations consider impossible to survive. Ancient records indicate that previous contact attempts were unsuccessful. I see, Captain Jin replied. Well, we're certainly willing to discuss any concerns you might have. Would you like to send a diplomatic team to meet with our representatives? The casual offer of a face-to-face meeting caused panic throughout the alien fleet. Several ship captains immediately requested permission to withdraw to a safer distance. But Admiral Morthek realized something that changed everything. The humans weren't trying to intimidate them. They weren't demonstrating their superior technology or threatening invasion. They were being genuinely helpful and friendly, and that was the most terrifying thing of all. Captain Jin, Admiral Morthek said, our records suggest that your species is extremely adaptable, that you tend to become dominant wherever you spread. Are you planning to expand beyond your home system? Well, yes, Captain Jin replied enthusiastically. We're very excited about exploring the galaxy and meeting new civilizations. We have so much to learn from you. We're hoping to establish trade relationships, cultural exchanges, scientific cooperation. The possibilities are endless. Every word the humans spoke made the alien fleet more nervous. They weren't planning conquest. They were planning to be helpful, friendly neighbors who would gradually become better at everything than anyone else in the galaxy. Supreme Chancellor Zolthek, monitoring the conversation from the council station, made a decision that would change galactic history forever. Admiral Morthek, came his voice over the command channel, return to council station immediately, and extend an invitation to Captain Jin to accompany you. Sir, Admiral Morthek was confused. "We're going to do something that no civilization in galactic history has ever attempted," Zoltek explained. "We're going to offer the humans leadership of the Galactic Council." The command bridge fell silent. Officers from across the galaxy stared in shock. "Sir," Admiral Morthek said slowly, "did you just say leadership? Think about it, Admiral. Every civilization that tried to hide from them or fight them eventually fell. But no one has ever tried simply accepting that they will eventually become the dominant species and asking them to be benevolent rulers. It was the most desperate gamble in galactic history. Instead of fighting the inevitable, they would embrace it and hope that humanity's apparent peaceful nature would extend to their treatment of other species." Captain Jin's response to the offer was typically human. "That's very generous, but we don't really want to rule anyone. We were hoping more for a cooperative partnership situation. Everyone contributing their strengths to make the galaxy better for everyone." And with those words, humanity became the accidental leaders of galactic civilization, not through conquest or threat, but because they were the only species that didn't want power over others. 6 months later, Captain Hyun stood in the council chambers as the official Earth representative. The same chamber where his simple request for membership had caused galaxy-wide panic was now the center of a new age of cooperation. "The human proposal for joint exploration missions has been approved," announced Chancellor Zoltek. "The trade agreement with the Centauri Republic has been finalized, and the cultural exchange program will begin next month." Hyun smiled as he looked around the chamber. Representatives from hundreds of species worked together on projects that would have been impossible before. The galaxy had discovered that having an apex predator species as neighbors wasn't so bad, as long as the apex predators were more interested in making friends than making enemies.